Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. This is our live studio show. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip, the Prophet Hayner, somewhere in here.
Yeah.
Oh, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Chip the Hayner. Yeah.
And Zach Brenner's not here yet. We haven't had any word yet on him, so we'll try to delay a little bit here. Maybe he'll come sneaking in. Thanks, everybody, for watching us on Verizon 32, everywhere from Nemacolin all the way to Cranberry, Wexford, and in Bethel Park, only on Comcast 7. That's all it is. Hey, and thanks for all the family and friends that I've heard that are watching the show that I didn't know about, and any of my friends from the past that haven't admitted they're watching the show. I heard you're watching, too. You know who you are, so enjoy the show. We'll talk about some sports, I'm sure. We have a lot of that. And then thank you, everybody. This is our new world record, Jim J, 4,813 likes. So I appreciate it. Appreciate you liking the show. And you know we're on every Tuesday through Saturday night, 7 o'clock to 8. And I don't know if I can mention anybody with the last name of Campiti that says we're on 7 days a week. I don't think so, but we are on at 11 o'clock in the morning. And you can see our boxing on Saturday nights. And we're not on Sunday as far as I know, but we'll check that out. And thanks for watching us everywhere. We do appreciate it. This is our unofficial 200th show. I have some cupcakes in that ordered from Bethel Bakery, but they will be in next week. So you'll get to enjoy those, guys. So got to tease you with that. John the Tiger, we have an issue over there? Okay, because you're our control cameraman. He's our only cameraman in the room. If we lose him, we'll still do the show. Okay? And we've done it before without a cameraman. I thought you were leaving us. We got Matt Harkins in the control room. We got Devin Shea, and they're going to stay. They're not going to. There'll be volunteers. I already have a few people looking for jobs now that they ate the pizza. If we can get a little spotlight on Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Smoking Jim, they still have a Monday night special, $1.99 for the small pizzas.
That's what they told me when I went in there today.
Did they? Nobody said they saw you.
Yeah, I walked out.
How do they miss you?
It's just like Batman. You
Yeah.
know? Nobody's ever seen Batman
Yeah.
and Jim together. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. So call 412-831-1900. Great pizza. And they're asking if we eat hoagies. So Devin, Matt, Smoking Jim, Chip always eats a gourmet meal by Stephanie. So and now that he's a year older, he's not going to change that. So if you like hoagies, they'd make up a hoagie for us. So
All right.
maybe a couple. Then I met this friend of mine, new friend, Charlie Barreth, and he owns a place, Pino's Palette. Now, this is an interesting place. It's in Lawrenceville. So what they do is you can actually have a drink and paint. Did you get a close-up of that?
No, licking up and paint.
Yeah, so they have, but it doesn't look very good. Yeah, but,
Oh, there he goes.
you know what, that control room, we're going to keep them another week because they're practicing.
Spot on.
That is great. Thank you. Well, here's what happened. He told me to put one of my business cards. I just happen to have one out.
No.
Everybody's surprised. Can you get a
Everybody now
close-up?
meets on the street gets a business card.
There are some homeless people that are using this to start fires. Well, he goes, hey, talking machine, how about put your card in our little bowl that we have here? Maybe you can win. I said, I'm not a painter. I don't plan on it. I finger painted when I was a child, and I like that. He goes, well, we have 2-hour lessons and 3-hour lessons, and you bring your own bottle. Very nice modern place. It's right near the Roberto Clemente Museum, Chip.
All right.
So that's how I met Charlie. He's a great musician. So I get a message from him that I win not one gift card, but 2 gift cards. 2 $35 gift cards, so I called him up. And I said, I don't paint. How did I win? He goes, you put it in the bowl, and we pulled out a winner. So I'm trying to promote them. They're doing some fundraising, too, and I'll have some details there.
I have gone and done this, not at his place.
Right, there's another one with a twist there.
Try it, because it's a lot of fun.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Maybe I will break down and do it.
And I am not a painter, believe me. Trust me, I'm not.
Well, they're also doing a fundraiser, and of course, you know we do a lot of fundraisers on Pittsburgh Sportsline. And it's for St. Jude's Research Hospital to help battle against childhood cancer. And that'll segue into what I'm going to do a little later about the Gold Dot in Bethel Park. And it's called Paint It Forward. $15 from each seat that they sell will be donated to St. Jude during the fundraiser. So, and it's a BYOB event. I'll be talking about this for a few more weeks. It happens on the 30th of September. So check that out. This is the painting. I need to test you guys in the control room in the Tiger. You pull close on that. That's what you'll be painting. So I know they got skills and they can teach you. So we got that. Thank you. And then the one we're trying to help, and thanks again to the Englert family for suggesting the Post-Gazette talk to me. This is the Hoops, Heart, and Heroes on September 12th. So don't miss this one. This is Saturday at South Park Fairgrounds. Try to go on the website to get that. And it's all for a good cause, American Heart Association. And if you didn't know, Pete Maravich was one of the ones, Pistol Pete, he had died from a heart problem way too young. So now we got one more promo that's coming out. Now with the Joey Favis Cancer Foundation, I was honored to get a shirt for myself and help Dave pass out some shirts at IMS, the middle school here. Can you get a close-up and see what that says on the shirt here? Can you read it, Tiger? All right, there's a lot of words there. It says,
My shirt is saving kids. What can your shirt do?
$10 for a shirt. Chip, you got one.
Thank you.
Zach Brenner, Smoking Jim, you got yours already. Zach Brenner, you got a double X, buddy. Here it is.
Good kid.
Thank you to the Favises. We're going to try to get you on our show in the near future, so thank you very much for the shirts. We appreciate it. Stay Joey strong and go gold for the month of September.
Yes, sir. Good color.
Yeah, I like it. All right, we better talk some sports here. Zach Brenner, since you just come in, he knows he can hold out on those promotions. We had a bunch of them today. He'll watch the video with the 3 other people from Munhall and Homestead, hopefully, by the end of the week. But you never know. Zach Brenner, what's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, I've been known to say, Smoking Jim Frazier, Chip Hayner, and Al Levine, that if you're not cheating, you're not trying. But in recent light of things that are developing in the National Football League, Smoking Jim Frazier in New England, I'm kind of starting to change my tune on that. But I'm more angry with the Rooney family, Coach Tomlin, and the Steelers organization, and all the other 31 teams in the National Football League besides New England for knowingly knowing that these guys are blatant cheaters, rule benders. They'll do anything to gain an edge. And my thing is, you got to fight fire with fire, guys. If New England Patriots are going to cheat and get it, why aren't we trying? Why aren't we trying to do something? You know, let's take a little air out of the footballs, whatever. But what came out, I found on my way here, is that back in the last time we played the Patriots in the conference championship at Heinz Field, they had all of our defensive signals. They had all of our stuff. They had illegal taping, Smoking Jim Frazier. And how do we know this? Because ESPN today decided to drop a bombshell that Roger Goodell covered up this mess for New England. So now the thing about it to me is that there's kind of a hypocritical thing, CBA aside, that the commissioner who tried to crack down so hard on Deflategate and Tom Brady covered up something for the same New England Patriots that he knew that they were cheaters, that he knew that they were cheating. So Now, I mean, I was your fan, Little Raj. I was with you, Raj. But now, in light of this, that you covered up for the very people that you're now trying to crucify and rake over the coals, it just don't add up to me. The commish got to go, and that's what's on my mind.
Good job.
Hey, Zach, welcome aboard, buddy. This isn't a surprise. When you throw away video, try to study a little presidential history. Richard Nixon. History is out there. I'm glad you're on the team now. Nice. And it is ironic that he would try to go heavy on him, and then ESPN comes out with this. So very interesting. We got Devin Shea in here. Are we okay, Devin? That's a good sign from him. He gave the no thumbs up. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine. Back to my old
What is it?
quarterback option days there.
Can we get 3 sources, no 5 sources to verify you ever played quarterback?
I was like the Ohio State, one of the 3 quarterbacks on the team. But hey, what's on my
Yes, what is on your
my
mind?
mind is first of all, everybody knows this year is my first year to get a Heisman Trophy vote. I did vote before the season started with Seth Russell, and he did me proud. 376 yards passing for Baylor, 5 touchdowns, and he ran for a touchdown, and he had a 69-yard touchdown run called back by penalty. So a couple more weeks of that, and I think the whole country will get on board. But what's on my mind is James Conner, Pitt's outstanding running back, 250 pounds. Conner went down in the first half of the first game this season against Youngstown State, and it just makes you realize that playing football is a privilege and these guys should enjoy it because your career can end at any time. This is a guy that probably was going to be a first-round draft choice in the draft, and this injury is going to cost them a lot of money. Now, James Conner can come back next season and play for the University of Pittsburgh if he has not already signed with an agent. Most of the agents that I deal with, they're paying the players that's in advance of somewhere in between, a lot of times $1,000 to $10,000 a month. It's kept very, very quietly. But when you sign with an agent, a lot of times you're surprised that these guys get injured and then go to the NFL and maybe get drafted in the 4th or 5th round. It's because they secretly sign with an agent who's paying them money in advance. One prime example is Curtis Martin. Curtis Martin was often injured during his career at Pitt. Going into his junior year, he ran for 275 yards against the University of Texas. Got hurt in the game, didn't play the rest of the season. Everybody thought that Curtis Martin would come back for a senior year, but he ended up turning pro. And there's only one reason why he did that. And that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. Again, something we can't verify. No sources except your own. The man of mystery still continues his streak. Thank you, Smoking Jim. Very interesting, though. And it is sad with James Conner.
Yeah.
Definitely. Chip the Prophet Hayner, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan. A number of things are on my mind. And, yeah, I think we saw James Conner play his last game for the Pitt Panthers this Saturday. The next move he will make will be in a pro uniform. Why risk blowing out your knee again and really damaging your future when you can spend a year rehabbing? If you want to be a smart boy, James, get your degree before you leave.
That ain't gonna happen.
Okay, so that's the first thing that's on my mind.
Jim.
Next thing, I'm going to touch on the NFL because I'm telling you what, all this big hullabaloo about what ESPN reported today. Like, you know what? There was no new news that was released today by ESPN. This is stuff that we've known for 10 years. Now it's back out in the public forefront again. I'm going to touch on that in a minute.
Why?
Here's one thing else that I was thinking about the NFL. If anything this NFL preseason did this spring, it proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Tim Tebow is not an NFL quarterback.
Wow, I didn't see that one coming, Chip.
Next thing is, how does a wide receiver make an NFL roster without catching a single pass in the preseason? Well, that could be if you play for the Cleveland Browns.
TP.
Okay, hasn't caught a single ball. Terrell Pryor's back on an NFL roster, and you want to know what? As crazy as this might sound, I bet you he's their starting quarterback by midseason.
You're sounding like Smoking Jim Frazier.
Okay, because whoever the hack is that's going to start the season, Johnny Football ruined his elbow already. He's probably going to have surgery. He's not going to be able to play quarterback. They're not going to have any other choice. Cleveland's likely to go 0-16. But let me get back to that first point I talked about. I am so fed up with the NFL and all the goings-on outside of football on the field that, you know what, I may not even watch the first game of the season this year. Here's what I think. You know, all these new revelations that were put out today, nothing was new. Here's what needs to happen. Roger Goodell needs to be terminated immediately. Bill Belichick should be banned from football for life, just like they did with Pete Rose. Pete Rose, they said he affected the integrity of the game by betting on the game. Well, Bill Belichick has cheated and got caught, and cheated and got caught, and continues to cheat, and he'll get caught again. And he should not be allowed to coach in the NFL. That's what's on my mind.
Wow.
Good job, Chip.
You know what, though? I can't believe, Chip, you made some great points, but I still can't believe Smoking Jim Frazier. He brags about getting a photo with him, and that's his friend, gave him the inside info, and you turn so quickly. As soon as he mentioned Roger Goodell, you were clapping. Smoking Jim.
No, Jim and I had a little conversation.
Well, I know he
before
knew.
the show, so I kind of enlightened him as to what was on my mind.
Yeah, but he was smiling and grinning and clapping. And meanwhile, he's best friends. You know what? You got to take that photo from Facebook down.
Well, you know, here's the thing. The commissioner of the NFL, after what happened with Brady and Deflategate, he's got no ability to discipline players. He's got no intelligence. He doesn't even know how to conduct a proper investigation. You know, the other three major sports, hockey, baseball, and the NBA, they have an independent arbitrator that arbitrates these things, and you never see any of their punishments get overturned. Every single one that he's done. Ray Rice.
Yeah, but you know the difference.
Greg Harvey. Who's the other one? Adrian Peterson. All of them, they get overturned. So why even allow him to do that?
They got the brother handshake down pat on draft.
No, there's a reason. An independent investigator is not paid by the league. And that's what makes a difference with the NFL. Some of you don't realize that, and that's okay.
Yeah, I realize.
No, I know you do. I'm looking at Smoking
Jim.
Jim. If somebody is truly, and this you can watch the film
Almost went over my
20
head.
more times,
Okay.
but when an independent investigator is paid by other people and not the league, then he's truly an independent investigator. It'd be like Goodell paying you $20 to say you're friends with him, which he did, I heard. So, I mean, and it was a free meal.
And he got the picture to prove it.
Right, and that's all he asked for. So we understand that. Now you understand, right? So that's what happened. That's the difference.
Thanks for the analogy.
Well, you know, I try to not let opinions get in the way of any facts, but we are entitled to our own opinion. Just like my opinion on that may come later. But what is on my mind is Pitt football. I'm watching Pitt football, and I'm thinking, this is a prelude, since Chip used a nice prelude word. This is a prelude to the Steeler game. And the only thing difference was Youngstown State. Mm-hmm. Now, the Penguins were a tough team, believe me. They could have won at any time, but they did not. Now, the defense on Pitt, you know, those kids are trying. I got to give them credit. They were trying. But you know what? If there were a couple more minutes to the game, I don't think Pitt would have won. And offensively, the quarterback, I don't know what team he was playing for, but that surely isn't why he's a starting quarterback. Now, anybody's allowed a bad game. But when somebody's in another conference below you, things like that. That's not when you have it. And sure, it's terrible with Connor, going down. I can't even pronounce the kid's name. 207 yards. Now that was impressive. The freshman there.
Q.
Okay, Q. All right.
Did it in the first half too.
Really?
Well, he had 199, and then he ended up in the second half getting 205. Then he got a couple more yards because I watched the game. I'm a Pitt fan.
Where did you watch the game? Because it wasn't locally televised.
On my internet thing. On my internet, I got to watch that.
That's my point. You want to get some interest in the Pitt football program? Hey, televise it locally.
But Chip, that was the great thing about my smartphone, wherever it is. It slid down here. I got to do the live game on it. So thanks, Chip. It's because of the Bleacher Report. It was streaming to my phone.
Good man.
So I learned these lessons. Smartphones, they're in. Makes the people dumb, but that's it. But that's what's on my mind. Maybe we'll get to see a game. And friends of mine, were just disappointed after that game. So.
And actually, I was really chomping at the bit to see them play the Akron Zips this weekend.
More sarcasm. All right, we better go to our segments. For all of you new viewers and people watching the show, now we have our segments. We're going to start with Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine.
What are you going to do?
Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. It's going to go back a little ways. When I was 10 years old.
When was that?
I had a football coach tell me I was on a traveling football team, 10-year-old traveling team, and feeling pretty good about myself, and only black kid on the team. And
would you travel from Gateway to Penn Hills?
That's it.
They didn't like him.
We traveled around, and the coach told me, he says, you know what? He says, you proved yourself to the coaching staff here. He said, next year you're going to have to prove yourself to 11 and 12-year-old team. After that, the big team, the junior high team, and high school team. Every year you got to continue to reprove yourself. And that brings me up to a point that you guys got on me a couple of weeks ago. There's not a bigger college football fan than me. And I understand that. I think Zach and Al Levine, the talking machine, said there's like 1,500 people in the NFL. And listen, all these guys are in the NFL was fans of theirs when they were in college. Case in point is Charlie Batch. Charlie Batch, yeah. I tell you what, when Novak coached at Steel Valley, they were a great team, a championship team, a running team that played strong defense. And I remember Charlie Batch's junior year. I went to a basketball game, and I thought he was a teacher. That's how man amongst boys he was. That's how mature looking he was. And but before Charlie Batch's senior year, I think I'm the only one in southwestern Pennsylvania, only sports writer that remembers this. But they didn't throw too much during Charlie Batch's career at Steel Valley. But they opened up in Kentucky against a team in Kentucky. I went down to Kentucky. Charlie Batch threw 5 touchdown passes.
Wow.
In that game, and attracted a lot of attention. But being that he went to Steel Valley, he was Prop 48, so that cut down on a lot of scholarship opportunities.
You want to explain that to people that don't understand how that could be?
I'll explain it later. So he had to sit out his freshman year at Eastern Michigan, and Charlie went on to have an outstanding career, broke every record down there, but he was often injured. Charlie Batch was the first person in NCAA history to get approved of a medical hardship, meaning that you got approved to play 6 years college football. And so when I call Charlie Batch brittle doesn't mean no heart. Brittle means that a typical hit from anybody else, they go back to the huddle, and you go to UPMC. But listen, but finally, when I evaluate these guys, even Jarvis Too Slow Jones and Tim Couch and all these guys that I said would be busts in the National Football League, I was fans of theirs in college. But just like my coach said when I was 10 years old, when you get to the NFL, even though there's only 1,500, you still got to prove yourself at every level. And when I call somebody a bum, it's not because they weren't great in college. is because they're not qualified, in my opinion, to play in the National Football League. And that's the fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. I was down Kentucky seeing Charlie Badger senior year. Thought he was a teacher.
We got to verify that one, too.
We can, though. That's the beauty of life. Like,
Well, Google that and find out, please. And whether it's 1,500 or not, Smoking Jim in the NFL, they made it. They could be the worst player in the NFL.
But you still have to prove yourself. Even us, at this level, we still have to prove ourselves. Everybody we know sports. When you get to this point, even as a commentator, you're still only as good.
That's your last show.
Yeah, you're in the big leagues now, and those guys, like you said, I'm fans. Nobody watches more college games than me. I was a fan of Jarvis Too Slow Jones at Georgia,
So,
but I believe that he wouldn't be able to play in the National Football League at a high level, and he's proven me right, as 97% of them do.
That's that's good to hear. Like Tim Tebow proved that he can't play in the NFL. The
Just
same
because
way
he lost.
Marco Thomas proved he can't play safety
I
in
heard
the
he got
NFL.
benched. I heard he got benched.
Smoking Jim, we'll have to have a scouting segment because then I'm going to have to ask a couple questions.
Okay.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Like my biggest one is, how are they still in the NFL if they didn't meet your expectations?
Well, the reason that they're in
Somebody's
the
got to carry a clipboard.
well, here's how it breaks down in the NFL, and I'll say it real quick.
Okay.
If the administration, like the unions, This is
Always an excuse.
this is how it breaks down in the National Football League. If Little Z is one of my top scouts, okay, on the administrative side, and Little Z recommends that I draft somebody in the first round,
Okay.
and he gets cut the first year, Little Z's getting cut too. He has got a role. So these guys, they
that makes sense.
They take these evaluations and they extend it. The best player, the best linebacker in the Pittsburgh Steelers this summer was Howard Jones, but he played at Shepherd College, and he was a walk-on where Jarvis Jones, who hadn't busted grape since he'd been here in 3 years, he's still on the team. Chicka Kelly.
I thought Chickalow was.
Chickalow was great. He's on the practice squad. Probably New England will take him like they did Mike Vrabel, and he'll be a Hall of Famer. Those are the kind of things that happen. Guys get a long extended rope the earlier they get drafted, and then you continue to have the same people drafting over and over again, and they're making the same similar mistakes.
Okay, but it seems like the system is wrong, whether it's CBA, union, etc. You're talking administrators on a football team.
Yeah, because
That's bad. All right, we'll talk about it another day. Let's get to Chip's trivia time. Thanks, Smoking Jim. Very informative.
thank you.
I know a
sir.
couple things that I didn't know before. Not that they're any good or truthful, but now I know a couple other
I
things.
was in Kentucky.
This puzzle is getting
Would
bigger.
have left Bud Dupree in Kentucky.
Well, that may come up in Steeler talk. All right, Chip. Let's hear some Chip's trivia time.
Well, I was thinking back. My birthday was on Sunday, and I was thinking back.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday again.
Thank you very much. I was thinking back about 20 years ago and how Cal Ripken Jr. commemorated my 35th birthday with another one of those streaks in baseball that's never going to be broken.
Yeah.
And the streak that Cal Ripken Jr. broke that day was the Iron Horses streak. Lou Gehrig, who happened to have the longest consecutive games playing streak in professional sports, and when his streak was finally broken was when he was finally diagnosed with ALS, and subsequently we all know what happened there.
Yeah.
But Cal Ripken on September the 6th, 1995, played his 2,131st game, breaking Lou Gehrig's record of 2,130 en route to the all-time Ironman streak, and you will never see another Major League Baseball player play that many games consecutively in your lifetime. I mean, most ball players don't play that many games in their career, let alone consecutively.
I'll
And
never see it.
I know you won't.
Well, you don't see it now. You didn't see it then. Non-baseball fan.
And also to also commemorate another one of my lifelong idols, on September the 8th, 1958, a certain Pirate right fielder set a team record, tied a team record that was done 5 other times by hitting 3 triples in a 4-1 victory over the Cincinnati Reds.
That's amazing.
Roberto Clemente was the 5th Pirate player in the history of the team to accomplish this feat, and he was also the last Pirate player to accomplish this feat.
Did he do it in Forbes Field? That's the only question.
I do not have an answer on that. It is not in front of me. I could dig it. I could dig that one up.
Because that'd be interesting. As big as that field was, Smoking Jim didn't realize how big the field was.
And actually, being an ardent baseball fan, I do think that is the most exciting play in baseball. Watching somebody leg out a triple, it's a pleasure to watch. Now to bounce around with some other baseball trivia that I found interesting. September 7th, 1993, a little-known player who only did one thing of note in his entire career. His name was Mark Whitton. He played for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he has the greatest game at the plate in Major League history in the nightcap of a doubleheader against Cincinnati. In a 15-2 win, Whitton hits 4 home runs and drives in 12 runs, becoming the only player to accomplish both feats in one game. It's a pretty amazing statistic there. And then also to back that up, Mike Greenwell in 1996 on September the 2nd set a major league record by driving in all 9 Boston runs, the final one on a 10th inning single, to give the Red Sox a 9-8 victory over Seattle. So
that's amazing.
Those are 2 pretty amazing feats there that happened at the bat. Now everybody knows that the home of the Boston Red Sox is Fenway Park. Fenway Park's over 100 years old.
You should have asked it as a question to hear.
Well, I don't want to confuse Jim.
I know.
I don't want to confuse Jim. But in September 7th, 1914, the Boston Braves had to move its home games to Fenway Park because Braves Field was not big enough to handle the crowds. The Miracle Braves played the rest of their home games and the World Series games at the home of the Red Sox.
Wow.
So that's a little known fact. September the 8th, 1972, Ferguson Jenkins, who Cubs Hall of Fame pitcher, also got arrested for trying to smuggle marijuana across the Canadian border.
Smoking Jim witnessed that.
Yeah, but
as a 10-year-old.
September 8th, 1972, he beat the Philadelphia Phillies 4-3 for his 20th victory of the season. It marked the 6th straight year Jenkins had won 20 or more games.
Yeah. What a pitcher.
What a pitcher and what a longevity record. Now, we talked about Cal Ripken's streak. Well, there's that's the American League and the Major League Baseball record.
Right.
Well, the National League record was set in 1970 by another Chicago Cub, Billy Williams. Asked to be kept out of the lineup, ending his National League record of 1,117 consecutive games. His record was broken in 1983 by Steve Garvey. So, that still was half of what Ripken and Lou Gehrig did. September the 3rd, 1957, Warren Spahn of the Braves recorded his 41st career shutout. Spahn's shutout set a major league record for left-handed pitchers. Another one here, 1955. If anybody knows baseball history, they know that 1955 was the year that the Brooklyn Dodgers finally beat the New York Yankees in the World Series. And the ace of that staff that year was none other than Don Newcombe. Don Newcombe, I think he won the MVP and the Cy Young Award that year. He also did something else of note. He connected for his 7th homer of the season and set a National League record for home runs by a pitcher. And he beat the Phillies 11-4. And my friend Jim here has always been the one that said pitchers got no business batting. Well,
Since he found out about it this year.
I will continue to bring these to your attention.
Go back 60 years. They were good batters.
Well, that's because they had to. They didn't have the option of playing in the American League and never holding a bat. 1971, I brought up a story about a pitcher he pitched for the Astros in 1981, J.R. Richard. He was one of the fireballers. He had a stroke. Well, when he was a rookie, J.R. Richard tied Carl Spooner's major league record by striking out 15 San Francisco Giants in his first major league game as the Astros beat the Giants. This was on September 5th, 1971.
Spooner.
Oh.
Not what you were doing last night with one of your sweeties.
Okay, and then last but not least, to wrap this up, September 2nd,
It's history,
1987, Houston's Kevin Bass went 4 for 4, including home runs from both sides of the plate, and drove in 3 runs as the Astros posted a 10-1 victory over the Chicago Cubs. Bass became the first National League player to homer from both sides of the plate twice in one season. Now, you know that the Mick did that more than once, but that was in the American League.
Yeah.
But that's my trivia for this
Thanks,
week.
Chip. A lot of good trivia there. Zach Brenner, let's hear some Z time.
Well, on Z Time tonight, folks, I'm going to instill a little bit. We got some big boxing matches coming up here. I want to give a shout out to a good friend of the show. Stephen Upshur Chambers is fighting on the undercard upcoming on Floyd Mayweather out in Las Vegas, Nevada. Stevie is 25-4-1. He's taking on Ashley Theophane from Britain, who's 38-6-1, Smoking Jim. So we want to wish Stevie well in his fight.
I thought he was fighting Broner.
No.
Okay.
No. That was a rumor, Smoking Jim.
Oh, okay.
You know how those memes pop up. Also fighting, who's also a huge fan of the show, with his daughter actually being on Al Levine's lap in pictures, is the Who Can Mexican Sammy Vasquez. We'll be fighting, I guess Tuesday during the show.
Yeah.
Sammy.
No, I heard 9 o'clock, Zach. You might be able to make it.
Whoa.
Cal U's easy for you to find.
I was gonna say, if the 3 of us carpooled, man, we might not make it. We might never make it there.
Don't worry, I'll leave a trail of breadcrumbs for you guys to follow.
Another thing that I wanted to touch on real quick. Billy the Pittsburgh Con, a legendary light heavyweight champion who I'm related to. A lot of people don't know. Billy the Pittsburgh Kid was 64-11-1. That's a lot of fights in a professional career. Only 15 of those 64 wins came by knockout.
Really?
So that's a lot of fights to go the distance.
Wow.
And a lot of decisions to be
Never
earned.
fought amateur either. Went straight to pros.
The last little thing for Z Time.
Joe Louis, he fought the best in the world.
And he was beating Joe
Unlike
Louis
other
until he
people.
tried to knock Joe Louis out. But that's something that he never lived down for the rest of his life. You know, honestly, that's something that till he took the rest of the way. That if I just tried to stay away, which often a lot of fighters do, Smoking Jim and Al Levine, they run, they circle the ring, they do the things. They do anything, not to say Floyd Mayweather, but
That's your hero.
He stays
I'm
on
glad
that.
you went back to your
He stays on that bike all
relative.
day long, right?
I'm glad you went back to your relative, Billy
I
Kahn.
never saw a punch he didn't run away from.
hey, if only the women around him had better defensive posture, Smoking Jim.
That's it.
But the last thing I wanted to touch on, since we were speaking on the University of Pittsburgh, I was late once again to a gathering on the North Shore where we honored a great man, number 54, Eddie Pullock, for Youngstown State. He died this time last year of cancer. I told his son, when I put the shirt on that I would say some words, because in a situation like that, Smoking Jim, my words are can't make up for the loss of your dad. But he was excited that I finally made it, and I told him I would give his old man a shout out. So shout out to Eddie Pullock. Rest in peace, sir.
Hey, rest in peace.
And the last thing, as far as Pitt football goes, I was very disappointed in the beginning of the Pat Narduzzi era. Smoking Jim, I think me and you could have probably coached the Panthers up better on Saturday. I kind of, since we weren't with our top receiver, Boyd, for that game, I kind of didn't feel the reason and behind, there's no reason to pump up corner
There's all this Heisman. You know how the Heisman stuff is. So you have to have this mentality of Urban Meyer, where it's stats. So we have to run the ball. We got to light up the scoreboard. And look what happened. We lost our running back, a key element to what we were hoping to build on this season for the entire season. And whether he'll be back or not, I can't really speak on that. Like Chip said, he needs to finish his education, get a degree. But he's from Erie. He might have other things in mind. I mean, I've been to Erie a couple times, and he might have other things on his mind and getting out of Erie, Pennsylvania. But I wish him nothing but a speedy recovery back. It's hopefully he qualifies for, the medical red shirt or whatever and comes back, just for the simple fact that he doesn't want to be just a third or fourth round pick. When if he comes back, stays healthy, he could be a first or second and guarantee himself the kind of money that Smoking Jim talks about.
If he comes back.
Well, and unfortunately, he's probably going to become a victim of the way the NFL is gravitating at this time, where running backs seem to lose their value. You're not seeing running backs taken in the first and second round anymore. And that's product of the evolution of the way the NFL is going. Everything's going, quarterback, wide receiver, and running backs, they're pretty much, the way the NFL looks at them right now, they're a dime a dozen.
Especially a running back with a limp.
Smoking.
And a light-skinned brittle brother. But that remains to be seen for another thing. Now back to Levine.
Disclaimer on Smoking Jim. Please ignore 90% of what he's saying. He's not a mean man. He says mean things on the air. I keep watching the film on you, buddy, and I can't believe some of the outrageous statements you make that sound negative. It's shocking. You're such a good guy. Everybody loves you. I don't know what... Dorothy, if you ever watch one of these shows, this is at the 44-minute mark or so. I'll mark it down. You got to talk to your sonny. And tell us his age, please. All right.
We won't broadcast it. I promise.
No, I won't say it more than once every 2 or 3 minutes. I guarantee it.
We won't post it on Facebook.
No, every day. Not at all.
Twitter.
No, I'll tweet it out, no doubt.
Instagram.
LPGH will tweet it, and I got to get that Instagram, and then I can take a photo of him as he ages here. Mm-hmm. All right. On location, there's no more surprise. We'll be at the Park House. This is on North Side, East Ohio Street. It's actually one of the oldest bars in the Pittsburgh area that was licensed after Prohibition. It's a great venue. They have a lot of different free events. And what I like best about it is there's peanuts, and you can throw the shells on the floor, and there's popcorn. And they have great food. I'll have to introduce you guys to some lamb gyros and hummus. And they even have some burgers for when Devin, Shea, and you guys want a plain burger. So we'll have to do something like that, but we got some great plans there. We'll be there on the 14th and the 28th, so stay tuned for that. I'm working on a 21st show. We'll see what happens with that in the next couple days. So check us out there. And I wanted to open up with boxing as a segment. We just saw amateur fights at the Priory Hotel in the Pittsburgh Grand Hall. First of all, it's a great venue. You had 10 bouts, and they were almost all split decision, and it was just a great night. Competitive. Jack Mook come out. Whatever he did with getting the card was just fantastic. You had competition from the minute they started till the time it ended. We couldn't count all the punches that these young men and women, the shape they were in. Most of the time we go to fights and we go, boy, somebody got tired, or what happened to their training. I didn't hear any excuses or see any. The fights are up. I posted them up, Dave Cable. I only dropped them off on Monday, and nobody was there. So Dave did the editing and put the promos in there. Appreciate it. Got it up today, which is in record time. For all you want to see the fights, I posted on Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. Anybody you know, Wolfpack Boxing Club, they had a great showing there. They were in the outside. Northside struggled. They lost the first 5 fights, whether you agree with the judges or the scoring or not. They were 0-5. They ended it winning 5 in a row. So it ended up being a tie. And the north side versus the outside, they may do another one. There was great interest. One of the things that was surprising to me is it's Friday night high school football. And most of these guys have played football at times, and their families definitely in school districts where it's very popular. Even Smoking Jim was able to come out away from Gateway. He has season tickets, hasn't missed a game in 5 years, 2 years, 1 year. But he was there, and it was just a great crowd. You know, it was standing room only. We just couldn't believe that people kept coming in, and it was just packed. An enthusiastic crowd with some, great fighting the whole time. And Danny Buckley closed it out. He's just a machine. We like Dennis Charlie Brown Gibson. He's a tough competitor, but he was no match for Danny. He had 2 standing 8 counts in the last round, and I'm sure that did him in. Smoking Jim was on fire with his comments. Not as many shoes and shorts and things like that, but he did bring up some of the technological things that the fighters do. So I appreciate that. It was just a great night, and it was great to be in Pittsburgh and see the interest in boxing because there is a resurgence. Our man Jack Hunt, Johnny Angel, he was in the front row with City Councilwoman Darlene Harris, who's the Northside District. They all showed out, had support. Rick Steigerwald, another Northside guy, he was on our show. We interviewed him. And Jack Hunt come by at about the 15-minute mark, and we talked a little Ginchy stuff. And he loves boxing because he was a boxer, and he's a true Northside guy. So check out the video. It's pretty impressive with the fights that we had, and I appreciate all the fan support and everybody coming out. So that's the boxing. Now we're in a pennant race, so I don't want to be disrespectful to the Bucks. A lot of people don't understand what a pennant race is. They're trying to win the division, and whether they're 6 games out, 5 games out, go look in the Google about Philadelphia having the greatest. What did they fall apart? Didn't they have 9 games that they were leading by?
If you just look back a couple of seasons ago, the Braves and the Red Sox actually each 9 games out at the beginning of September, and actually ended up winning their divisions. It was the last year that the Red Sox won the World Series.
Thanks, Chip. I appreciate you bringing that up.
The thing about about baseball is, a lot of people just still have trouble wrapping their arms around it. They play games every day. And, and then the game, whatever happens yesterday, that's yesterday. And today is a new day. And, you can't really live and die with each victory, even though,
it's getting tighter now.
There is a roller coaster ride, and there's a lot to be said for it. But, if you just sit back and relax and watch the baseball that's being played, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I check my phone, I check on the Cardinals scores, I check on the Cubs, I check on the Bucks. Usually I know the Bucks score before I go to bed. But, you're paying attention to what everyone else is doing, and it makes it a lot of fun. Now, there's, quite a number of teams in the American League that actually have a chance for the first or the second wild card spot. In the National League, here's where it gets interesting, because you've got the defending world champions that are 9.5 games out of the final wild card spot, and then you've got the team that everybody picked as the favorite in the National League to win it all, because they went hunting for bear over the winter, and they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on a pitching staff, and they're not even in first place in their division. They're out of the picture completely. I believe that they're 6 or 7 games behind the Chicago Cubs for the final wild card spot. So there's a lot of teams that have some interest. The Chicago Cubs, they were pretty terrible the last few years.
Right.
They brought in Theo Epstein from Boston, and he's rebuilding the team. They're going young. They got a bunch of exciting young players. Chris Bryant, their third baseman, rookie, he hit the longest home run hit in the Major League Baseball this year. He hit it off the top of the scoreboard in left field at Wrigley Field. It was 495 feet. Wow. That is a poke.
If it got over that, it might have been 600 plus.
Who knows? But the people out on Waveland Avenue would have been chasing it.
And one thing to interrupt you, the one bad part about your report is the Cubs are only 2 back of the Pirates. So for all the naysayers, they missed this one. I don't know how it wasn't posted anywhere with the negative Buccos. But they're still in the lead for the #1 wild card, and they're still in a pennant race. And why do you say that? Mathematically, all the guys that study the Steelers know they're mathematically alive until they're not. Same thing in baseball.
The Pirates are one of 3 teams in Major League Baseball that have won more than 80 games this year. And, and here's the thing. Everybody says, well, if the Pirates were playing in any other division, they'd be in first place by 10, 12 games or whatever. But you know what? We just so happen to be playing in the best division in baseball. And you know what? If I'm going to play in a division, that's where I'd want to be. Because if you can be among the best in the best division, then you've really accomplished
Thank
something.
goodness for a wild card.
Exactly, because you know what? I'd rather.
You know what? I'm starting to hold it. Wait, I hear Steelers.
Bungles. All you got to do is get through the Ravens. But
Chip, wait a second.
We can't ever get through the Cardinals.
Chip, I remember the Steelers, and you had Houston, and you had other teams in the same division that were going into the playoffs.
How many years in a row did
I can't understand
Pittsburgh
this.
Steelers play the Houston Oilers in the AFC Championship game? Remember Bum Phillips talking about knocking on the door, and he was going to kick it in, and what happened? Joe Green kicked him in the teeth.
And that's what happens. Now we might as well go to some Steelers. Go Buccos. It's a pennant race, no matter what the Sandbox boys say, because they're disrespectful of their own thoughts, let alone what the Pirates do, because you can't waver on that. You either don't like baseball or you don't.
And you know
that's
what?
all.
And they're not going to take one
And
thing
it's two
away
negatives.
from me, because I'm just loving every minute of it.
Hey, I'm
But
not
let's
trying
get
to take
about the
anything away from it. I'm just trying to stay even keel and be realistic about the expectations. That, you know what, there's a very good possibility we are going to have one of the best seasons in the last 20-some years in Pirate Land and lose the one-game wild card playoff and be done with it.
And you know the best
We'll be
thing.
back to-
You know the best thing
the funny
about
thing
it.
is that even though he says he's not a hater, he is looking forward to that more than anybody else in the city. That's what he's rooting for.
Yeah, but
that shows you his true color.
Here's the best part about it. They're still talking Pirates. What's the date today?
Okay, so here, let's talk.
You're still
Steelers.
talking Pirates.
How many people
Pure
think
hate.
How many people
He's a
think
hater,
the
look.
Steelers are going to lose by 10 touchdowns this Thursday night? The Steelers' defense is
I got heavy
absolutely
money on New England.
atrocious. I don't know. The secondary is the worst that I have ever seen. I can't even believe I heard them mention on the radio today that what was the kid's name? The fourth-round draft pick. It was a defensive back that got cut. And then they signed him onto the
I think it was from Ohio State.
yeah,
Grant.
they signed him onto
Dorian
the
Grant.
practice squad, and they said that Tomlin was so disgusted with him that he didn't even want to say his name. Now, how is that? You draft somebody in the fourth round.
what?
You
But
draft two defensive backs in the first 4 rounds. Neither of them are going to play this.
You know what? But you know what, Levine? When it comes to dollars and cents, though, you have to realize though that you only have so much money. You cannot have a 90. Some overall, referring to Madden. Every player, you're not going to be able to have the number one player at every position. So,
So
but
that
I know
being
as the
said-
defense, let me say this to you, though. I think, though, since we know New England is so notorious for wanting to watch and check everything, we've just been keeping it very vanilla, Edmund Nelson. And I think we're going to unleash the boys, James Harrison
Zach,
and
I'm
company.
telling
in
you what,
Foxborough.
we're going to send you out for a drug test now. Okay?
Too
Let me
late.
tell you something.
He
The
failed.
Steelers
failed.
had one interception by their secondary in the preseason. And
Is that all?
the player that got that interception got cut.
He's not here.
Okay? The day you go into the season with your number one cornerback being William Gay, it's going to be a long
Well,
season.
he's a
folks.
captain, too.
And I'm telling you, the Steelers
As well he
offense,
should.
He's a captain.
He deserved
the
it.
Steelers
Ironhead.
offense is going to put up points this year. They're not going to put up enough to win.
Well, my prediction for the game is everybody's saying 6 touchdowns or more. They lose by a touchdown.
Well, all they got to do is lose by 1, because 3 months ago I got New England and 1.
Yeah, but you do so many things in advance. I don't even know who you're betting
Heavy
with.
money.
I can't
Heavy
follow.
money.
I can't follow who it is. At least you're not betting the house again.
Get
and
that
it's not
Super
a,
Bowl money back.
Well, I don't know about that. But everybody, when they count the Steelers out, like I'm doing right now, because I never say a year starts 8-8.
So we got
They're going to lose the game, but by a
We have an
touchdown.
NFL scout on the panel.
But that
It doesn't matter.
But we don't have a defense. And and here's what you're going to do. If you're the New England Patriots,
We got so
you're going to
much
triple
money.
cover Antonio Brown, completely shut him down. You're going to double cover Marcus Wheaton, and you're going to make them have D'Angelo Williams beat you. And is he capable of beating the Patriots? I don't think so.
Here's what the Patriots do. They roll over Ben's knee, and the game is over at the start after the first series. That's how simple it is.
No way.
A guy like
Michael
Zach
Vick will bring
Brenner,
us back.
a guy like Zach Brenner would do that because he can't change his
You know
spots. If you're not cheating, you're
Let
not
me
cheating.
tell you something. There was
When
31
everybody
other
else is
teams in the
cheating,
NFL.
You want to be the one guy not cheating and keep losing? I don't
know
want to
what?
be that guy.
Okay,
I
well then
don't
your
wanna-
Steelers
I
got to
wouldn't wanna
cheat
be
when
the
Ben
person
gets
that
hurt.
cheated, that lowered
You know,
myself to their level. You got to be ashamed of yourself for saying that.
Yeah, when Ben
You're
gets
not cheating,
hurt,
you're not
I don't want to
trying.
hear excuses about the cap or anything
Well,
else.
here's the only thing I know about the Pittsburgh Steelers. In this,
I hope you know a couple
since,
things.
since Bill Cowher, a tough coach, left.
Who?
And
Soft.
Bill Cowher used to draft
Couldn't win a
players.
second Super Bowl.
Bill Cowher used to draft players in his own image, and now they're drafting players that are a little soft and cheesy. Anytime you lose 2 offensive linemen on one play, last play of the preseason game, I've never seen so many guys get hurt. But when you got to play teams like the Rams, Seattle, the Ravens, the Arizona Cardinals, these guys, not only do they hit, not only can they make you quit, but the following week, you're going to be so banged up that you're going to be ineffective against lesser teams. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think with the tough schedule, Levine, I've never seen an NFL schedule as tough as the one the Pittsburgh Steelers have. And I told you before that Keith Butler is not a defensive coordinator, and he'll prove me right.
Hey, just an update for you. The Pirates pitcher hit a double. Gregory Polanco singled him in. Pirates are up
It was a
1-0.
ground rule double, so he hit it out of the ballpark.
You see that? See what happens by having a pitcher
Who's
back?
the pitcher, Alvarez?
Frankie
Frankie.
Liriano.
Frankie.
He's been doing pretty
That's
good.
why they're screaming in there. You got our.
Yeah, I will say this though.
Until he comes up
If
with-
Ben goes
One
down
of the
this
first.
year, the Steelers are sunk because I this is what my whole problem
any
was with
year.
the signing of Mike Vick. There was 31 other teams in the NFL. Mike Vick was a free agent. Okay, 31 other teams. Nobody picked up the phone and called him. There's a reason for that.
Well, the main reason
It's
is,
the head coach.
Well, the main
Maybe
reason
he can't play.
Well, the main reason
No, he can play.
The main reason is because veterans usually don't get picked up until after the first game. 'Cause
Correct.
That way you don't have to guarantee their salary. But Michael Vick has to still be a great player. He's making commercials. You see the commercial he was on all weekend? I'm like, he's still making commercials. So
That
he
doesn't
must
mean
be
they're-
great.
Smoking Jim.
One Papa John's, but
Your
something else.
judgment on great is
Holy
very
smokes.
Did you
sketchy.
see it? I was like, nigga, Michael Vick still on commercial.
That's sketchy, but hopefully we informed you a little bit about all this Steelers stuff and the Bucco stuff. The true colors always come out because you hear excuses
And
when you
next
can't
week-
explain anything.
And next week for Devin Shea, we'll have a Penguins update. They'll be going into training camp.
Go Penguins, and it sounds like they're going crazy. in there.
Ramirez at first base.
Ramirez.
Yes, he's playing first base today.
For the first time
First
in
time
18
in
years.
17,000 innings played in his major league career. He's playing first base.
And it's
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yeah, and it's unheard of during a pennant race too.
When you're
So
6 games
Yes.
back, it's a close pennant race.
McCutcheon homers to center
Keep praying for
field.
that letdown.
Really?
Yeah.
well, the one side of the table, we know you're not rooters and fans of the baseball team, and that's okay. Those are your opinions.
And just so you know, guys, I love 3-run homers.
Thanks for watching the
Pennants.
show. Thanks,
Trophies.
Zach Brenner, for
Championships.
coming out of the closet about the Pirates again. Smoking Jim Frazier, thanks for not knowing much about what we were talking about. Chip the Prophet Hayner, thanks a lot. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Be safe. Stay Joey strong.